Hey, it's me, Hrishikesh, Kannan, popularly known as Hrishikesh. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon now to get the latest videos and get taken into a world of entertainment, culture, sport, business, and current affairs.
All these characters that we pick up, Hrishi, and are all from my real life. They're all my friends. They're all people who are actually out there defending the border right now. And I honestly can choke up and cry right now because, this is my tribute to these guys. And I'm really choking up, so I'll just keep quiet because this is my tribute to those. No, this is my tribute to them. And when I told about these characters to Kanishk, Kanishk had tears in his eyes. And because he said, I don't believe that these are real stories.
Even for me, I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. So this is, like every kid growing up wants to be in the armed forces. So this was like my small, like how I lived my small dream to inside and so like having to make a cricket team. Here again, like living these lives, trying and of course, like, trying to tell stories. The amount of stories I heard from some are beautiful. Like there's so many we couldn't use because we of course had time limits and we had to distribute equally.
Samar Khan and Kanishk Varma join me. Shoorveer promises to be a one-of-its-kind entertainer come patriotic space, because that's what Sam does the best. What's up, gentlemen? How are you doing?
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
It's a rainy day and you're the bright sunshine in our life, I can say.
If you were a very beautiful woman saying that to me, I would be elated. But Samar, you and I know each other.
If it was a very beautiful woman I was saying it to, I would be elated.
Kanishk, please pardon us our transgressions. You might find this happening pretty
I'll
often.
just take a bag of popcorn and enjoy this.
Not many people would know, but I think a lot of them would know that the Hrishi and I go back 25 years, so we are allowed to have this banter. And
I was only 2 years old. Samar was already 40 by then. That's the story, morning. So he knew me, he literally saw me grow up.
I saw you grow.
Samar was your mentor growing up.
But we digress. What is fascinating about Shoorveer is the fact that you didn't go the green screen way. And Kanishk, I'd like you to start at that point. Did you have to threaten Samar at one point saying that if you go the green screen way, I ain't signing this stuff? So, talk about that.
No, it was from the onset. We wanted to use this, and like I've always said, the umpteen number of times, that Samar first, and then of course on his shoulders, we spoke to Hotstar, and they were also very supportive that this is the way, this is the next generation, this is how you do it in the future, and it will look like something that's it's not a practice that is followed in our industry and even worldwide. Very few people do it, but I wanted to do it because a form of this was used in TopGun 1 way back. So I wanted to upgrade it and use it. And there have been people in the world who have been using it. I'm just like, I love visual effects in general. So I wanted to incorporate that. And Samar was very supportive from day one because hats off to him and also Hotstar following up that, it's like we had no precedence to it. Like nobody had done it before us. So God forbid there would be something wrong. Even I was scared, to be honest, because we were doing it for the first time, but they were full on. Not once. After that first, yes, we never looked back. And I'm glad we never looked back because the stuff that we got and, the appreciation that we've been getting, it's just overwhelming. So I'm really glad that we all went in together as a team.
Samar, explain the tech to us. What is the tech used to film Shoorveer? The flight sequences, that is.
I'll jump in, and Kanishk, you can please jump in if if you want to join in and if I go wrong or whatever. See, we have shot the entire sequences in 3 parts. So one is the live action part, which actually is the jets taking off and landing and stuff, which we shot in Serbia. And because the Indian planes and the Serbian planes, the same MiGs are used, so we were comfortable with that. So those parts were shot live. Then the second part, which you see the aerial combats, is all CG created, which means all the planes were created and then Kanishk and the DOP designed the way that the planes had to move in the sky. So that was created on computer graphics.
Unreal Engine.
And Unreal Engine is the technology that is used for it. and Star Wars and all the big Disney films, and all over the world now, Unreal Engine is substituting CG. Sorry,
Yeah.
substituting green screen. And the third part that we shot, and Kanishk can elaborate on that, was the part that we shot the cockpits in, where we created the cockpits, and you see the atmosphere behind are
Yeah.
all LED
So
screens.
yeah, so I'll just jump in on that. That we created a C shape. So you have like behind me, you have this one back and you have right and left. So we created three sets of clouds. Because you get live interaction on the face, on the glass, that you cannot replicate on green screen. Because that was my first thing, that we will not shoot this, because what happens is then you shoot this on green screen and you wait for VFX to come in, and no matter what you do, it's like we see with car chroma, right? I mean, no matter how, be it Mindhunter, be it anyone, you just can't match realism. So this is what we had, and this is back in Top Gun 1. They did the same thing. They had back screen and front screen projection. So we used we had made three sets of clouds, and the planning that went in that was because we had to be very specific with the plane movements beforehand, what time of the day. So we had like four sets of clouds, like morning, evening, afternoon, depending on a mission. We have one night mission as well, which is, I mean, people have seen glimpses of in the in the short trailer that have been on air. So we created four different forms of clouds, and it was pretty technical because this side clouds had to move in a particular way, this side in a particular way, and the back clouds moved in a particular way because of perspective. So how all those three come together, and then we have the rollings. So, so if I may say, of course, I'll share it, but Hrishi is the first one to just get a glimpse of it. And we had made something called a map book where we'd broken down, exactly each shot, how would it be like on Unreal Engine live in Serbia.
Wow.
So a lot of planning went into it because, I didn't want to take the faith that Samar and Hotstar had put into us and the money which was going in, which was still not like a big amount of what Top Gun and these guys used, but still it was big enough for us. So I don't want even a single penny to go to waste. So we just planned absolutely to the core, to the T, as you say it. And this is how it all has come together. So it's so gratifying that when I see it and when people go like, wow. So I just want to say that it's not an overnight thing. We didn't just, shoot on green screen and had the VFX company do it. We had a lot of pre-planning done, a lot of pre-ways, a lot of planning.
So what happens?
And then what parts?
So just to take Kanishk's point, Hrishi, that what Unreal Engine does is that it gives the actors a real feel of what they are doing. That's the primary difference between CG and an Unreal Engine. So the actor can see the cloud next to him, So he's not just shooting against a green screen, so he can react to things. Plus, then the light from that cloud can fall on his face. So that, in later, you don't have to then create an artificial light or an artificial sun ray, which is coming on his face. Those can be created. So if you have a sun on the screen, so Kanishk was like, okay, now the plane is going to pass the sun.
No, we also made a sun rig. We also made a sun rig because what happens is, Hrishi, that when the plane moves in a particular way, the sun moves anti-clockwise. So we'd made a special rig wherein the lights, if the plane was banking right, the lights would go left. So it gives that whole feeling of the, it's kind of what they use in Gravity as well, where people were at the same place, but the light source was moving, making it look as if, they are rotating. So that's a tech that we used at a very minuscule level. But this is what it was. And of course, there are certain things where, in Top Gun 1 as well, and even in Top Gun 2, they have massive support from the US Air Force. And of course, it's like they're paying $11,000 an hour for one jet. I mean, that's an insane amount of money. We, of course, don't have that. So for some maneuvers, which we were going to go to a foreign country to shoot, the Air Force would not give us the particular maneuvers which are there, which you're seeing on short promos that we have, which make it look exciting. They will not do all that for us, right? So those maneuvers we were sure from day one that we have to do it on Unreal Engine because they can create very photoreal stuff moving around. Even Top Gun 2 has some shots that have been done on Unreal Engine. But yeah, and like Samar had also once said that I wish if we had more time and of course more money, this would have looked even closer. But having said that, I'm really proud of everyone, and the stuff that we have now is a lot of hard work of 6 months, I would say, at the least. And it's all gratifying to see all the responses that we've been getting.
Sam, as a friend of yours, it gives me great happiness and pleasure to see actors praise you, and some of them even call you their mentor. I had a very interesting chat with Tanuj Virvani where he said he owes practically more than half his career to you, and how he can just pick up the phone and chat with you, and how you get him to do all these incredible projects. Arman again is pretty much one of the pivotal characters of this particular series, and he had also some very vibrant things to say about you. So it's obvious that despite being a producer, you strike these bonds with certain actors. And is that important to you? Because I know producers who are hands off, who just turn around and say,
but I
it's
think
not my job to build relationships.
So I think, but Hrishi, the thing that comes naturally to me is also because I'm a director. I've directed films, I've worked on television, I've done shows. So I wear both the hats. And, you have to strike up a rapport with the actor because these are the people who are going to come on screen, and I, like with Tanuj and with Arman and all, I believe that, you have to spot talent and then you have to back it. And, we were very keen, and Kanishk and I were very keen that we will back talent on this one because this show was never dependent on star faces. This was never going to be dependent on the big names that we were going to get for it. So, we were very clear that, we wanted a person who was completely almost new and people could love him in what they see. So that's why Arman came into the picture. Regina came into the picture. Rocket Boys had not released when we had signed her. So she was almost like an unknown entity. Adil had just had, he had not even had Special Ops releasing at that point of time. So we took Adil, then we took Anjali Barot, who had just done Scam. We took other actors, who had not done much. So for me, Hrishi, it's very important that I have always been a newcomer. I mean, I didn't have a mentor over here. I didn't have anybody who's going to back me. So I have to be realistic with my expectations. And I believe that people who have the talent should be backed because someone backed me, and I can proudly say that, and I think, I'm proud that I backed Kanishk for this because even Kanishk, is not someone who, had done so much work before this, even Inside Edge
nothing had come out.
Nothing had come out at that time. Sanak had not come out at that time. But, my belief was in Kanishk that, listen, I know he can pull it off. I know he can do it. And for me, that was the most important thing that, you back the talent. So, yeah, I'm the MS Dhoni of the Indian cricket team.
And I just want to add to that, Hrishi, to your question that Samar, yes, I mean, that bond thing that, I know Samar since I was like a small upcoming AD or whatever. And I know him since I don't know, not as long as you guys know each other, but since 2014, I would say. And since then, we've not worked a lot together. We just did one show together, one pilot episode, but we've been in touch, and that bond that I shared with him. And I literally if we share a very different director-producer relationship, it's I could just be have myself with him, and he's just been there backing me, like he rightly said. When I came on this show, I didn't have even my first movie come out. I think it just come out. I don't know, but Inside Edge, I was in post productions. Sanak, when he spoke to me, I had not even signed Sanak. I had not even thought of Sanak. So it was literally he backed the unknown per se, but he's just great at bonding with everyone, and we all, for me, in fact, I told him that I quite often tell him that I'm just happy that you're happy because I promised him a good show and I hope I've delivered.
Of course you have. Of course, Sam, you likened yourself to Mahendra Singh Dhoni. With the passing of the years, you're looking more and more like Syed Kirmani, Kiriba. And Kiriba is a wonderful character, so that's a compliment to you.
That is correct.
I liked that Arman told me that you gave him a folder of stuff to go through. And Kanishk, he said that really was his compass because, there were lots of limitations. The pandemic had hit. You couldn't physically transport them into fighter jets. Tom Cruise is at liberty to turn around and tell his whole cast learn how to fly, but we have those limitations.
Make them sit in it.
Or make them sit in it.
Yeah.
But do you do that often with all your cast members, or was this a special case scenario?
No,
Give them dossiers and files to read and research and things like that.
No, so for others, of course, for Inside Edge, they had already come on or whatever, so other shows. But this was for this specifically because we had some people who were pilots, and not just pilots, ace pilots, right? We had people who were Marine commandos. We had people who were para-SF. We had people who were ace helicopter pilots. So I created this entire docket, which, the fighter pilots would only read and I researched, I almost became a fighter pilot myself for 3 months, just, with internet and YouTube and going through books and video blogs and audio podcasts of people. There is an hour-long podcast of how there are few fighter pilots discussing what goes on in their head while they are in a dogfight per se. And that helped Arman a lot and other guys, where then you kind of seeing they're like, oh, we look at the pitch of the nose, so we know they're going to go in like 90 degrees right. So I was like, man, this is like, amazing stuff. So as much as we could do, try to give them the insides of the cockpits, to try to understand the world of it, to the Marine commandos, what are the basic arms that they use, to the para SF, a little history of a para SF. And thanks to the internet, you have like a lot of stuff over there, right? So we compiled a huge list and sent it to everyone that, listen, I mean, they had access to everything, but of course I wanted them to kind of understand, because that was the least I could do, because, like you rightly said, no matter how much we tried, the times were different, the armed forces would not have allowed them to come in for a boot camp or whatever. We did speak about it. Someone even went and arranged, but it was too much of a risk that God forbid someone would have fallen sick, then it would shift entire production by like 2 weeks. And this was still a time where quarantine was like 14
mandatory.
days.
It was mandatory.
Yeah, mandatory quarantine. So we didn't want to take a chance with that. We just said, okay, fine, we just create this, that as much as they can think about it, as per method acting, like you read as much as you want, right? If you're playing a particular character, you watch their stuff. So I said, okay, fine, let's use this. And hats off to everyone. I don't know if everyone went through it, but I know most of them did. So it did take a lot of load off me, because I didn't have to go minute by minute trying to explain, this is how you hold a gun. We did have small camps for them where in office, we had one guy who knew guns, and even I'm pretty good with guns. So just show them that what is safety, where is it, different kinds of arms, how do you hold it, how do you aim, what are you doing when 4 people are going inside a room, there's one guy who's watching the 6. So those basic things we just made sure.
We also had 3 consultants, who were working on the show. So one is from the Navy, one was from the Army, one was from the Air Force. So those numbers were also shared with them. They spoke to the officers. I think what Kanishk was very keen on, that, more than body language, they should get into the mind of a fighter pilot. Because then the expression comes from there. It's not about, just about moving the right way. It's about feeling what they feel. How do they feel when they enter a fighter jet? Because every time you're going out there and you're flying at about 2 Mach, you're almost playing with death every time. It's like going in a Formula 1 car. They have a special mindset. So everybody tried to build those mannerisms, and trust you me, Hrishi, when I say that, Kanishk is that schoolboy who does his homework and sits in the first row. And he had these huge books for everybody, and he used to bring these books.
Nice.
And our office had actually turned into like a professor's room.
School.
Yeah, so it was like a school. So Kanishk is like that schoolmaster. He had built these small model jets that he used to carry around, that, this is how they'll do, this is what they'll do. He had given booklets to everybody to read. So it was almost like a school. And I mean, hats off to Kanishk, because he's one of the most prepared directors who, went on set. Honestly, Hrishi, I mean, I've shot so many shows. I've shot about 8 to 9 shows. He used to finish before time. Directors normally want extra time to shoot. So Kanishk used to finish before time, because he was very clear about exactly what he wanted. Every movement was like pinpointed. It was actually like a military operation that, we were carrying out with these guys. There was nothing, there was no flab.
I know a lot of actors who worked with Kanishk, and they say take number 3 or take number 4 is very difficult to reach.
Exactly.
It's
impossible.
Yeah, the actors to insist maybe if he wants a 3 or 4, but otherwise he's cool, which is great. I mean, if he knows what he wants, what's better than that for a filmmaker, for talent, as well as a producer. Sam, you really made your mark. I mean, there's no discounting the fact that you are a patriot in real life, but your friends know that you went to the National Defense Academy.
Thank you for reiterating that.
But my question to you is very simply, do you live vicariously through your shows? That
I do.
The Army's loss is, of course, the media's gain. But the fact that you could have been in the officer, you could have been an officer in the Indian Navy, Army, Air Force.
The Indian Army, yeah.
The Army, it didn't happen. Are you living vicariously through these shows?
Yeah, I think it's true, because I mean, that's the kind of, all of us, and I think there is no boy who growing up does not fancy himself in a uniform. There is something magical about a uniform. All of us have somewhere dreamt about saying that one day I will be in uniform, and I almost got there, and because of my own indiscipline, I could not make it. But through these shows, I wanted to show, one is living the life vicariously, where I can be that this is what I could have been. Number 2, I feel that it's also important for the world to see them. Where are the films or where are the shows that are made about them as human beings? all shows or everything that is made is all about one operation or a war or about, on the battlefield. But their lives
Just
are spent
jingoistic shouting, getting in, getting the op done.
getting up and
Yeah.
getting out. But as human beings, they were never explored. So the reason I wanted to make these shows, or the reason I got into it, and I got the opportunity through OTT actually, because films are still limited. You have a 3-hour film, but I got the opportunity to tell the stories of them as human beings. And I think when you see Shoorveer, yes, the aerial combats, and you've seen some parts of it, Hrishi. You've seen 2 episodes of the show. It's not just about the aerial sequences. You see them as human beings. You see them as people, as real people who have real fears, who have real aspirations, who have real issues they're dealing with. They're dealing with loss. They're dealing with everything. So, for me, that is the most important thing of making shows about the armed forces, that I want the world to see them as human beings, that they're not just supermen who, wear a cap. I want to, just to put it in a very cliched way, I want the world to see the Clark Kent behind the Superman. You always see the
Beautifully put, yeah.
Superman. You always see the Superman out there, but you don't know Clark Kent. You don't know that he had a mother and a father who he misses. You don't know that he misses his planet. You don't know that he's the man in love. You don't know that, he's still thriving for Louis Lane, who's not interested in him. So these are things that, you don't know about. And that is the human story that, I think Kanishk and I are also very, very keen that comes out in Shoorveer. That they're normal guys. I mean, Viraj is dealing with an issue with his father. The other guy, Adil, is dealing with the fact that he has a daughter who's 5 years old, and, he 6 years old, and he leaves her and comes here on this mission. Regina is dealing with the loss of a husband. Those are real issues that people are dealing with. So that, I think, is important for me and for the stories that I want to tell about the armed forces.
Yeah, very well said. My 20 minutes are almost up, and I don't want to impinge on other journalists' time, so I'm going to make this the last one.
I love you. You can please take as much time as you want.
That's sweet of you. But Kanishk, I mean, that is a very beautiful point made, and there is a line that spoke to me so much. It is when one of the officers turns around and says, "My father used to wear a uniform and get out of the house every single day. He was my hero." And it turned out that it was a security guard's uniform at an ATM. And that really puts the conflict of the character, what these people as officers go through in their lives, and the baggage that they carry. It's not as though they have to open an account book or get on a mic every single day of their lives. They have to defend the country and put their lives at stake with all that baggage behind them. And that must have been very beautiful for you to explore. You've talked about all the CGI and the Unreal Engine. I think that'll be a good place to end.
I think before Kanishk takes over, I just want to say that all these characters that we pick up, Hrishi, and are all from my real life. They're all my friends. They're all people who are actually out there defending the border right now. And I honestly can choke up and cry right now, because this is my tribute to these guys. And I'm really choking up, so I'll just keep quiet, because this is my tribute to those. No, this is my tribute to them. And when I told about these characters to Kanishk, Kanishk had tears in his eyes. And because he said, I don't believe that these are real stories. Kanishk.
No, I mean, like Hrishi just rightly said, I mean, it was, at the end of the day, it's all about emotion. Like we can have the fanciest tech and everything, and history has been, like witness to it, that you can have the best looking visual graphics, but if it doesn't hit you here, it won't connect with the audience. And we were very particular about that. Okay, yes, these are a part of parcel of it, a very important aspect of the show, but the human story, that why are we making this, why it's not only about this team to getting together, what are their interpersonal relationships, and and like, again, there are very few small things which of course will come in the episodes, like how when we read in a newspaper we see 2 Jawans died, I think that's it. For us, it's just like, oh, okay, 2 Jawans died. We don't even look at it until it says like a Pulwama or whatever, right? I mean, it's just like, sadly. But we wanted to even counter that is in those mentions of 2 Jawans, they were two family, like they were two bread earners, they were two people, they were two brothers, husbands, sons, whatever, like, and they meant something to someone. So there's so many things that go unnoticed about these great warriors. So we just trying, and like Samar said, even for me, I mean, I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. So this is, like every kid growing up wants to be in the armed forces. So this was like my small, like how I lived my small dream to inside and stuff, like having to make in the cricket team. Here again, like living these lives, trying and of course, like, trying to tell stories. The amount of stories I heard from some are beautiful. Like there's so many we couldn't use them because we of course had time limits and we had to distribute equally. But yes, it is essentially the emotional connect, the emotional stories of what these great men and women go through and do it for us. And it's time that we don't take that for granted and we just be thankful to them. So in a small way, like a thank you to all the armed forces, men and women, to us, from us, like a big thank you to them. That's what essentially the show is also about, I would say.
Shoorveer streams 15th July on Disney Plus Hotstar. It's directed by Kanishk Varma, produced by Samar Khan. Please watch it. Give it a lot of love. It's an important series, and this one's for the country. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day. Cheers.
Thank you, Hrishi.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Lovely
Bye.
as always. Thank you.